Hello everyone, my name is Meghan LeVota and I'm an ENFJ, and today I'm going to be talking about the extroverted judging functions, something I've noticed about them. So if you don't know, extroverted feeling means objective values. Extroverted thinking means objective logic. And so the reverse of that, everyone that uses extroverted feeling also has introverted thinking, which is subjective logic. Whereas everyone who uses extroverted thinking has introverted feeling, which is subjective values. So let's unpack this. Extroverted, if that means objective, and that is external, these are the things that we are more likely to share. We're more likely to say out loud. Sorry about the car sounds. Whereas something that's subjective, it's more personal to you. Feeling in general doesn't mean subjective. It's actually introversion that means subjective. So just for example, with extroverted feeling, we are, for extroverted feeling, we're not emotionally attached to those feelings. We're in fact more attached to our logic. So FE and TI users, you might in your mind equate personal or subjective with something that's emotional, but as far as these functions go, TI is just as personal, and TI is just as subjective, and it's just as personal, and it likely means a lot to you because it's really interwoven in the subject that is you. So, you know, we all have our ego, our identity, who we are, and ego isn't a dirty word. You know, these TI and FI, these are the things that we judge wherever it is in your stack. These are the things that are personal to us, our true principles that we live by, or our true values that we live by. And these are these very consistent subjective measurements that we hold ourselves up against. Whereas, you know, FE and TE, we're more so holding the outer world up against those things. So what I want to talk about today is how extroverted functions take up a lot of space. You probably have heard, as an FE dominant person, in arguments I've gotten into with FI users, I'm the sort of person to just take the mic because I think that the mic is there to be taken. You know, extroverted feeling can sort of be like blah, 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 blah. Like if you are in an argument with them, or if they just feel comfortable sharing their emotions. And, you know, I'm sure that could get sort of annoying. And extroverted feeling could be sort of, you know, both extroverted functions can be manipulative and controlling in their own ways because they are sort of exerting this out into the world where it's hard for people to not react to that, whether or not they really want to react to it. Like extroverted feeling, these are my emotions, or these are like emotions that I'm just putting out there without really a second thought, you know, and I feel comfortable like I am allowed to speak because I believe that everybody should be allowed to share and speak. But whenever I am, you know, talking with an FI user, FE can sort of put an FI user in a position where they feel like they have no room to share their emotions because you're taking up all of the room. Like the FE user might forget to ask the FI user, do you have anything to say? Or how are you feeling about this? Because we might just expect you to share on your own. Especially like an EFJ, we are going to be more likely to expect someone to share on their own, whereas an INFJ or an ISFJ might have more empathy for people who are more afraid to share in general, so because they're introverts. So that might be one thing, but in general, FE takes up a lot of room in the emotional realm, but on the other hand, TE takes up a lot of room in like the logical realm. Like, you know those people that just talk, and they don't know what they're talking about. They clearly haven't even studied the thing that they're talking about. They're just shouting facts. And it's like, oh my God, like, do you even know what you're saying? Or are you just talking? Or like, what? Like that's the feeling that you get when TE is just taking up space. And then there's no, I mean, TI users can be like, well, I don't know if I want to share this opinion because it's a very unpopular opinion. And, you know, TI can think that their opinion is more unpopular than it actually is, because TI is less likely to want to share its opinions. You know, for anyone, if you're using TI or FI, it's going to be more personal to you and harder to share. So, whereas for me, like, I am very open about my emotions, and I'm very open about certain things, like what I believe. Like, I'll say, like, I believe that everyone should be able to do blah, blah, blah. I believe in, like, freedom, or I believe that everybody has what it takes. Like, I'll say things like that, but you might not hear, like, my reasons why I think that. And it doesn't mean that I don't have those reasons. It just means that my TI is in the 4th slot, in my inferior position. It is my demon, as Dave Superpowers calls it. And so for me, it is very hard for me to share those things, because I am very attached to those things. And when I share my opinion, if somebody disagrees, I'm going to take it personally. And, you know, if a TEFI user shares their feelings and somebody stomps on them, they're going to take that personally. You know, we all have aspects of things that take us personally. It doesn't matter if you are an IP and you have FI or TI first. It doesn't mean that you're going to take more things personally, because for me as an EJ, like, you know, even though I might be less attached to my identity in that way, and I might be more tribe focused, these things are still personal to me, and I still am a person that has personal subjective things. So for me, it's very hard to share, like, my own take, and I'm trying to get better at doing that. So if you are maybe new to my channel, you don't really know me, and you see some things I post, you might be thinking like, well, you seem to do a good job at that. Well, that's because I understand this dynamic, and I understand that TE is just more likely to naturally share their thoughts, just as FE is more likely to share their emotions, you know? For example, if there was a conflict in, like, an office environment, it is gonna probably be the FE user that says, hey, what you just did made me feel bad, okay? Or what you just did is not cool. It's not good for what the company moving forward. Or if you're an FE user in a relationship, you might say, no, like, I don't want to be treated that way. And, like, I'm not saying that FI users can't do this. It's just gonna take, there's gonna be more of a threshold required for an FI user to even want to say it. So I'm not saying that FI users are too shy or too weak or whatever. I'm not implying anything like that. It's just the fact is that pretty much FE, I mean, the extroverted judging functions just sort of flow out like a word vomit. Like, they really do. And so that's why EJs are, like, always blah, 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 if you know one. Like, we walk in and we just talk as if we own the room. And we don't even feel like we're owning the room. We just feel like we're existing. We feel like everybody should be allowed to exist and say whatever. Like, TE users think, oh, that's just my opinion. I'm not really married to it. I just thought it was a fact that we should consider. And FE's like, yo, I just was saying that this hurt me. Like, I can get past it if it's something that we have to get past. Like, you'd be surprised. FE DOMs are a little bit more, like, go with the flow than you might expect. Like, even if they might be the first ones to say, hey, this hurt me, or hey, don't do this, or hey, don't treat me that way. They might be the first to say that. But if you say, oh, I did that because I'm in this position and I didn't know what to do, the FE user is going to be like, oh my goodness, I see that position. And then they're going to try and put 2 and 2 together and try and find peace and harmony or mutual benefit between you two. An FE user is not married to their emotions. They aren't going to just sit and pout and be like, oh my goodness, I'm so emotional about that thing you did, because it's not FI. It's not something that we have a personal attachment to. It's just the thing. I saw that this thing caused tension. Now let's talk about it. We're talking about the tension and the conflict from a very external view. I'm not attached to it. I don't think you're a bad person. I don't care. I'm just saying the conflict happened, okay? And so, and TE users are the same way. Like, TE users are the same way when it comes to, like, well, that's wrong because blah, blah, blah. Here's the scientific study. And it's like, oh, I'm not even saying this scientific study is the right one. I'm just saying that it's a study and that you should have considered it. Like, don't assume that TE DOMs are like these big know-it-alls, because they're just saying, it's just a fact they saw. Like, take it or leave it. you know, and a lot of EJs feel this way, where it's like, just take it or leave it. Like, I'm just talking, you know, but you know, other people that are not, you know, talkers, that don't have this sort of extroverted judging word vomit, like aren't gonna feel like they can just talk. And so what I'm really trying to get into the meat of this today is that FE takes up a lot of space. And so what is FI supposed to do about it? FI, realize that there is always space for you, and your emotions are going to be more thought out, more critically understood, more consistent, that when you do share, people are going to listen. People are going to listen. And the same with TI. Whenever TI arguments are so sound and so precise and so wireproof, or that's not the right word, hardwired. I was trying to say hardwired and foolproof at the same time. TI arguments are so precise that people are going to listen whether or not they agree with you, because it's going to make people be like, holy shit, where'd you come up with that? Like, I didn't even think of that before. And like with FI, if you share your emotion, even if it's something, even if you think you're being a baby, even if you're like, oh, I'm actually reacting this way due to past trauma or blah, 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 people are going to be like, oh my God, I understand why you feel that way. Oh my goodness, give me a hug, you know, like, and so I guess, like, sorry, I'm trying to like merge these two concepts together, but like in the feeling realm, whenever an FI user gets the courage to share, it kind of pretty much diverts all attention to that. Like, it's like FE is everywhere. Like, I mean, let's look at like the self-help sort of community. People say, love yourself. Or people say these sort of general, like, love yourself. Like, we're all one. Like, they say these sort of general things. And there are people that consistently share like these sort of nice feely things like all the time. I mean, I could be one of them. Like, let's be real. I'm an FE dom. And then when FI comes in and goes, which actually, shout out to Heidi Prieb if you're watching this, because Heidi said something like this recently. She's an ENFP. But then FI comes in and says, okay, but why self-love when we should be saying self-respect? That's something that Heidi actually tweeted, who is an FI user. Like, FE could be like, love, 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 love yourself, all that. And then FI comes in, but what about self-respect? And then all of a sudden everyone's paying attention, because the FI user actually took a longer time to think about the emotion. I also saw something where, you know, if you guys are familiar with the body positivity movement, I would say there's a lot of FE going on there, of like, love yourself, you're beautiful, like all that. I saw an argument from this ESTJ on YouTube who was talking about, why do I have to love my body? Why can't I just be neutral to my body? Don't you think respect is a better word? Which is sort of similar to what Heidi said, but the ESTJ was like, I don't know if I really like the fact that you are making me or telling me what to feel about my own body. That seems like a boundary. So you might only hear all of the FE emotions when you're thinking about what do people feel, because it's loud. FE's loud and it's consistent and it's always there. But that doesn't mean that that's what everyone feels, because a lot of people are holding back. A lot of people with FI are holding back what they really feel. But then whenever people say it, it's this sort of undeniable, like, ah, okay, now I have to consider that, you know? And like, same with TI, you know, like, we might just sort of be blindly accepting these sort of TE facts as true. But then a TI user comes along and pokes one hole in the argument, and all of a sudden everyone's at a standstill, you know? And so I just want you guys to, on the one hand, understand what is FE and TE actually doing. Really, it's word vomit. They're just talking. And so one, accept what they're saying as just talking, and realize that we're a lot more open, like EJs, we're a lot more open to changing our minds than you might think. But also, FI or TI, whichever one you use, wherever it is in your stack, I feel like if we all have the confidence to share those observations that are more subjective and are more poignant and deep, and concise, and all that, or not concise, that's the wrong word, precise. Sorry, like I said, word vomit, F-E-dom. If we really focus on this sort of precision, even if it is subjective, imagine if everybody shared their precise perspectives, and we considered everybody's perspective. Like, that really can change the world, and our judgments can be a lot more sound and have a lot more, you know, ground to stand on, and a lot more just sophisticated judgments, you know. So I guess, you know, I want to encourage you today to share more of your opinions and your feelings, and don't wait for an FE user to pass you the mic and say, well, how are you feeling about this? And don't wait for a TE user to pass you the mic and say, well, what do you think about this? Do you see any holes in my argument? Because it's not that they don't care, it's just that they assume that you're gonna do it yourself if you wanted to enough. And so that dynamic is what makes these sort of extroverted functions so loud. I'm sort of repeating myself, but I feel it's important because I feel like it's an important thing to understand. And I mean, and I also want to say, since you got to the end of this video, that me doing this is me trying to share my TI, because I don't hear this specific opinion about FE and TE anywhere else. This is something that I think. This is not something that I got from Carl Jung. This is something that I took Carl Jung's ideas, I took socionics, I took all these things, and my TI is trying to figure out for myself what I think it is, and I'm just sharing my opinion. And I'm not saying it's an undeniable fact, but hopefully, you know, whenever I get more of the confidence to share TI, it becomes one of those things that it makes you think. Even if you disagree with me, I hope it makes you think, and that's really the point. And I mean, I discovered this in my Synchronic Saturdays podcast with Crystal, that TI, no matter what, is gonna make you think. It's gonna make you decide for yourself what's true if you hear it. And so if TI gets the confidence to get out there up against the loud TE like definitions and facts and says, this is my opinion, people are going to at least consider whether or not they agree with you, because people are gonna stop and listen. And same with FI, like FI is gonna force you to consider what really matters. Even if you don't think that what they're saying matters, it's gonna make you consider what you think matters. So thank you for watching this video. Join my Facebook group, Personality Typology for Self-Growth. If you're interested in working with me at all, a lot of my one-on-one offerings and stuff like that are under construction, but you can always email me at hello@meganlevota.com. And I am in the process of doing typing services. So I have a link below where you can fill out a form if you're interested in being notified whenever that is around. Also, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at HappySadLion. I hope you like this video, and thank you so much for watching and hearing out my sort of TI opinion here, and have a great rest of your day.